alleges that the ANC had some operations to destabilize opposition, including ATM. Is there any truth in that?
To destabilize?
And so that there is no opposition, it is neutralized, it does not ever flourish.
Yeah, I've never been part, as it was alleged,
Yes.
of ATM. But yes, ATM was destabilized.
So
because
ATM was destabilized?
Yes, that guy who said I'm one of the people who established or was part of ATM, was part of the church. And he was fired because I was never part of ATM at any given stage.
You never established ATM?
Never.
You were never involved in the establishment?
Not at all.
So you never met in some hotel somewhere because the stories, yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
The SG, Philip Barula now says you are the one who facilitated the establishment of it. I was saying is like.
Remember, there is an intelligence report which talks about him.
French, yeah.
And that guy who talked about me, that guy was well protected. He even stayed at the parliamentary village. That story came out.
Botani, and welcome to the Sheds. My name is Yanis Ocheko and I am with Mkwasana, the coach of Killers Mod.
One of those opinions.
And right man Killers. Namhlanje Killers were shedding light on a towering figure in circles of politics.
A political giant.
Somebody without whom you can address issues of political relevance. Anytime you want to speak about politics, you are bound to make reference to him.
Yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, today we're shedding light on Utatu a smart side story the mother that
Molo ba.
welcome to the show.
Kana mauti Botani.
Deep
Kosa. Yeah.
Deep.
Deep Kosa.
Tata Magashule.
Amona gere dikhomo.
Dikhomo.
How do Botani Kasfu to draw?
Wa dumedisa dumela.
Or Dumela the sort. So with that, Dana, thank you for joining us and thank you for gracing us with your presence. We do not take it lightly. We respect that a lot. As I was saying to Gosala Church now, that you are a political figure of relevance in circles of politics, without whom we can ever refer to politics. And how are you doing?
No, I'm good. I'm jumping like a tennis ball, running like a cheetah. Yeah, I'm still jumping and jumping.
We are sitting with you here as a former premier of the Free State Province, as a former Secretary General of the biggest liberation movement in Africa. Not just former in jail, but an expelled SG. How do you feel about that?
Well, you must say, as a former chairperson of a branch,
okay.
after the unbanning of the ANC, from a branch to a regional deputy chairperson, from a regional deputy chairperson to a provincial chairperson, and then Secretary General. Yeah.
Do you feel you were fairly dealt with by your organization, your former organization, the ANC?
Well, I don't think so, because I can tell you, after the unbanning of the ANC, or even before the unbanning of the ANC, I was with the ANC. I was in the underground. I was in exile. I was in the country. I can cite a lot of comrades in Soweto, big giants, the likes of Winnie Mandela, Dr. Montlana, Ned Ramokgopa, one of our commissars, young chap, Ephraim Nkwe. There are so many comrades. Mzwakhe Mbuli, I don't hear people talking about Mzwakhe Mbuli and others. The late Dr. Asfat, Dan Montsisi, those young people who actually in 1976 kept the name of Soweto and they raised the flag of Soweto. So I've worked with those giants around Gauteng, in Alexandra Township. I was staying there by 14, Kwashoti. The likes of Mike B, Moses Mikey, so Mashatile, Bonet Kekana, go to Krugersdorp, Nomvola Mkonyani, the late Jesse Juate, who was the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, and Aubrey Mukwena. There are so many, until all of us came to Johannesburg, and we were hiding here in the 80s. Yeah, so that's the background. And I stayed in Soweto, many areas. My commanders were in Soweto. Winnie Mandela played a very important role. I stayed in Zone 8. I stayed in Shawela. That's where my commander was staying. Vierheid, Dobsonville, White City, Jabavu, Orlando, East and West, Houghton, Roodepoort, Rosettenville. Those were hiding places. Berea, Yeoville, Mayfair. I stayed with a senior counsel lawyer, the son of Matthew Chaskalson. His father was the first head of the Constitutional Court. We stayed together in Mayfair in the 80s, 84, I think. Yeah. So, and that's why I know Gauteng. I stayed in Vosloorus and Tembisa. So I know this area. Then I taught in the Val, and my matric in the residential Zone 7. But my first as a teacher, I went to Makaga High School in Zone 11, Sebokeng. From Makaga High School, 85, I was a teacher in my hometown, Paris. That's my background, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to ask this, Mr. Magashule, just to go back to your background as well. I want to ask this very interesting question. And you grew up, you were born and bred Tumahole, Paris.
Paris.
Small
town.
Yes, you used to play, I think what people don't know, you used to play boxing and soccer.
Yes.
And that's where you got the name Ace.
Yes.
So do you think politics chose you? If you're not a politician, would you have been a soccer player?
Well, I was a soccer player before as a community
Professional,
member.
yeah.
That time there were no professional. We were not rewarded. There was an organization in 75 called Paris African Student Association. When Soweto rises in 76, I was doing my standard 6. And that's where, and when Soweto sneezes, we caught cold in Paris and the rest of the country. So I was in boxing. There was a club called Paris Power Punch. Okay. Blue Jacques Masapo, Schoolboy Mutle, from Kronstadt to Sasol to the Val. And then I became part of Paris Small Rangers. From Paris Small Rangers, which actually in Paris, it was Paris Small Rangers, Sasolburg, it was Sasolburg Kalis. Kronstadt, it was Shamrock Flowers. Velcom, it was Real Hearts, and Velcom, Real Hearts, and Hungry Lions. And Bloemfontein, it was Mangaung United. Botterville, it was Dangerous Duckies, and there was also Dangerous Duckies, and then the Mamarela, and then that's where Maholo Siani, Kwakwana, the Free State Stars, Kwakwa Stars, and then it became Free State Stars. Mangaung United, later on it became Bloemfontein Celtics.
With the rich history that he's just told now, something which South Africans know, and we're sitting with him as an expelled Secretary General of the ANC. I want to know if he thinks this could have been avoided, if he could have been better dealt with, maybe suspension, maybe just a warning and say, hey, don't do this again.
Well, there's nothing wrong I've done. And that's why I refuse and I stay principled. I don't think there is nothing, that history is still there. It's not history which is written by any white chap here. It's history written on the blood of our people. It's history which, the sweat of our fathers and mothers. It's history which emerged from those days of struggle. So nobody can raise that history. And not even any organization, because whatever values we are fighting for, even when I was in the ANC. Remember, I said my blood is black, green, and gold, and I will die in the ANC, but I was expelled. So my blood, that's why you see some of our colors there, black, green, and gold, because they mean something else. Blood, the land of our people, our blood, the red color, the wealth and the economy, umnotho. Yeah, so the colors are not just the ANC colors. They mean something. They denote a particular revolutionary meaning.
If you say you did nothing wrong and we sit with you as an expelled and a member and SG, what were the reasons? To a lay person who's sitting there who does not understand, how can somebody who's done nothing wrong be expelled? What were the reasons? What did you do? What did they say you did?
Well, they said I must apologize for having suspended the president of the ANC.
Hello.
And I thought in terms of the constitution of the ANC, I had those powers. One of the things the ANC said, you must never use money to ascend to leadership position. Yes. So why should I apologize for that?
So you believed that there was money utilized for the ascension to the leadership position?
The leadership has accepted that money was used. And I said, no, but this cannot be. And since then, from 2017, money is now used in this movement of ours, the glorious movement. I still regard the ANC as the glorious movement because I'm not angry. I'm just disgruntled because I think the ANC has changed the tune. It's no more about the liberatory organization, the movement which fought for the poor, the blacks, Africans in particular, blacks in general, and the rest of South Africans. That's the thing. I'm still associating myself with Africans in particular, blacks in general, and white Democrats, and those who want us to share the wealth of the country.
I want to ask this, Mr. Magashule, and you said you were expelled, you were forced basically to leave the ANC. Do you think there will ever be a time, there's a possibility in the future, that you'll go back to the ANC?
Well, I've studied Marx and Lenin. I'm a Marxist. So I believe in the material conditions. Conditions of today are different from conditions of yesterday. I don't know what conditions of tomorrow will be. So I can't be a prophet. In politics, you can't be a prophet. There are prophets elsewhere.
So in essence, the door is not closed, it's not shut.
I never know.
Okay.
I never know. But there is ACT now. African Congress for Transformation.
You know, I want us to reserve time because I want us to go deeper into ACT. And there are just a few things I want us to get out of the way.
Yes.
There's an allegation which has been advocate and Winston Erasmus.
Who's that one?
I don't know what to say, what is that one, but you will hear the continent. And then I wanted to confirm if this is true or not. He alleges that the ANC had some operations to destabilize opposition, including ATM. Is there any truth in that?
To destabilize?
And so that there is no opposition, it is neutralized, it does not ever flourish.
Yeah, I've never been part, as it was alleged, of ATM. But yes, ATM was destabilized.
So you
because
know that
one,
ATM was destabilized?
Yes, that guy who said I'm one of the people who established or was part of ATM, was part of the church. And he was fired because I was never part of ATM at any given stage.
You never established ATM?
Never.
You were never involved in the establishment?
Not at all.
So you never met in some hotel somewhere because the stories?
Not at all.
The SG, Philip Barula now says you are the one who facilitated the establishment of it. I was saying he's lying.
This is not new. We are the incumbent. We are in charge. We run the country. Everybody, when they open their mouth, they do the easiest and the lazy job of complaining and attacking the incumbent. That's why people are forming political parties like mushrooms, because they've got hope that if they criticize the ANC about the defects in terms of governance, they will make it at least one seat in parliament, at least 2 seats, family, husband and wife, and all of that. So they are hoping for that. With what we see, the shenanigans of Magashule, it's not new. Magashule has long worked inside the ANC for the proliferation of political parties. He formed them. ATM was formed by him. And that decision was taken somewhere in a hotel in Durban. And then that is why he formed a party called ACT. When they formed ATM, the first option was ACT. And then they resorted to the name ATM later. That's why the colors are similar. It's one and the same thing.
Remember, there is an intelligence report which talks about him.
French, yeah.
And that guy who talked about me, that guy was well protected. He even stayed at the parliamentary village. That story came out, remember, in the Sunday World. I can go deeper into that, and that's how ATM was destabilized, because that chap was even given money.
How was the operation in destabilizing ATM? Are you aware of the actual activities that were done to make sure that ATM does not see the light of day?
Well, the chap was funded, and he came out and he said, ATM this thing, and they tried to delegitimize it by saying even Secretary General, even probably President Zuma was part of it, the establishment, no such a thing.
But then why would that be the case? And worse now, if it's recently repeated, Fikile Mbalula, the current Secretary General of the ANC, is on record as early as on the 1st of August saying you are one of the people. What do you think was an issue with ANC and the ATM such that there's investment to destabilize?
One day I will talk about not just the ATM, I must even talk about Good Party and tell you a story about Good Party. It's just that I'm not an angry member of the ANC. I respect that office. To be a Secretary General of the ANC, it means something serious. You don't talk about people. You don't become petty. Because you remember from as many years ago, I can play some clips where Fikile Mbalula recognizes the fact that I also nurtured him. If you want those things, I can give you so that the public must know the real thing. And you remember, even as we were going to conferences from 2012, 2017, we were together with Fikile Mbalula. We all did not want President Ramaphosa to be president of the ANC.
I want us to pick up on that one.
Of course, that's where we're going to see the contradictions in politics. In Marxist terms, they call it negation of negation. Contradictions, but sometimes the contradictions are healthy. In 2012, myself, Zweli Mkhize, Sihle Zikalala, Supramo Mapelo, Phumulo, Masuele, Nomvola Mkonyana, we pushed Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa to be the deputy president of the ANC. You must remember that time he was not in the political space after. And then COSATU and SACP did not want him to become deputy president. But come 2017, it is us, the same people, who says, no, we don't want Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa to become the president of the ANC, including Comrade Mbalula. Me and him address delegates of the Free State in my hometown in Paris before traveling to Nasrec. But then COSATU and SACP, this time around in 2017, remember 2012 they said no. In 2017 they said yes, and us in 2017 we say no. negation of negation, contradictions, healthy, political.
And that was based on what, Dr. Magashule, for you as the elders within the ANC who didn't want him to succeed to the presidency's office. What was that based on?
No, we wanted another leader.
Okay.
We wanted Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma.
Okay.
We were talking about the history, and principle-wise, we wanted a woman president.
Yes.
But amongst women, we were picking up. You must remember, during Sasso days, Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was the deputy to Steve Biko. Bantu Biko was the person who, when there was a political vacuum, who conscientized us as black people, black consciousness. And we became aware of who we are, and we became proud of who we are, our skin, our hair. We said we are as the same as white people. If there is nothing superior about white color, and there is nothing inferior about black color. So Biko made us to know and love ourselves and feel confident. And I'm one of those people, I feel so confident because I was conscientized the right way by Bantu Biko, and Comrade Nkosazana during those years was the deputy to Bantu Biko. So when we look at leadership, that time we had to say we want a woman, and this is the type of woman we need, who has been in trenches. Yeah.
Now you're talking about Ubuntu, you're talking about being conscientized to life yourself. I just want to close this matter. Are you prepared to, or do you think it's worth it to take it any further, that over and above being expelled, you continue to be accused by the SG of the very same party, the ANC, that has expelled you, of during your time as an ANC member of the ANC, that you facilitated the formation of another political party? And if you say you've just confirmed that there is no such thing, do you feel aggrieved, and is there anything that you want to do about that? Because clearly, if it's not so, then Philo Marula is lying about you, potentially defaming your character as a human being.
That is politics. That's the nature of politics. And I'm not here to talk about Fikile Mbalula at all. Remember, the ANC even established a committee to investigate.
Led by Mom French Nwala.
Frini Ginwala, Titus Mafolo, Krish Naidu. That committee did not find me anywhere near establishment of any political party. If it was the case, I will even say today, yes, I was part of it, but I was not. I was never part of it. Yeah. So
yes.
I respect the office, Secretary General. That movement is the movement of the people of South Africa. It's not the movement of leaders. So that's why I say things have changed. The character and the leadership have changed. And that's why I think South Africans are suffering today, because things have changed.
Dr. Magashule, some of your critics, they say before you left the ANC or you were expelled, they say you felt that you are powerful than the organization itself. And you might have overstated your power. How true is that?
Nobody will be powerful than an organization. Nobody. Even in history, you go back to the ANC, there were giants in this movement, Robert Sobukwe, Oliver Tambo. So I was nurtured and brought properly. I was baked in the oven of the revolution. So no, there's no way I could have been, and I will never be above the collective. But you must be principled. If you because what made me fight during the years of struggle was that the truth shall always prevail. And it will prevail. South Africans will see. They won't read from the media. They won't read from radio, television, and all that. The masses ourselves, wherever I come from, I'm not a product of the media. When people say, this one, I just look at the masses and watch the space, the masses of South Africa. They will tell you with time. Yeah. They are the better people to narrate our stories. I can't talk about myself because I don't come from that school. The masses themselves, the people will narrate our stories. No white man can write a story about me who doesn't know me and who has never been there. They will always try and tarnish your image and tarnish it and tarnish. You must know that they don't want you to go up because they want our people to still be downtrodden and hopeless and all that. Black men must rise, Africans must rise, and they must know who they are, and they must be proud, and they must fight for umnotho, the economy.
Yeah. Just a follow-up question that is Magashule. Yeah. You were taught by, mentored by the likes of Winnie Mandela and Chris Hani. What do you think they would, if they were still alive today, what would they say about the status quo of the country today?
Winnie Mandela was a real Mbokodo, and many others. But Winnie Mandela was a real Mbokodo. That woman went through what you call hell, politically, from Brandfort, and even when he was in Soweto, a very brave person. And she died, even in the 80s, people said she has done this and that and that. And then when she's buried like a martyr, a heroine of our struggle. Even those who used to say Winnie Mandela has done this, Winnie Mandela has killed Stombe Sipe, Winnie Mandela. Stombe Sipe came from my own township. We are the ones who brought him to Soweto, to the Methodist Church and to Winnie Mandela and the rest. And people blame Winnie Mandela for all these things. When she's dead, everybody sing praises. Fortunately, there are clips where Winnie Mandela talks about us and others, Bupita Mugaba and the rest, Bonabu Julius Malema, a powerful human being who was very close to Chris Hani. And in exile, as I was coming in and out, I will meet Winnie, I will meet Chris, and I'll meet Steve Chwete. And then in South Africa, in the underground, Comrade Chris was very close to Bantu Olomisa. And during that period, Bantu Olomisa supplied us in the Free State, in the country, with guns. I had 6 guns from Bantu Olomisa.
You know that having been supplied with 6 guns from General.
He has played a very important role.
I think that let's round it off here as our part 1. Like I said at the beginning, you've got a very illustrious history and involvement in the politics of this country. That was the W.H. Magashule, shedding light on him, his background and life, where he come from. Don't go anywhere, because that was part 1. We're coming to part 2. We'll be zooming deeper into his future, his new political party, his offering for this country, where he thinks is going in terms of taking the people. You've been watching the set, shedding light on the W.H. Magashule. Thank you very much for watching.